Do you have to sacrifice to succeed? I know you hear that everywhere, and everything you might read, and every video that you might watch. And look, this is a question my son asked me the other day because we were practicing this work, this play, this keynote. And he thought it was absolutely required. And why wouldn't he think this? It's spewed everywhere throughout society, where we give up the present for an unknown, uncertain future. We toil in the trenches at the expense of today, but why? Have you ever worked so hard just to find out it wasn't really worth it? I've done that in real estate. Or ever worked and created more work for yourself with little reward? I've done that by overcommitting in business. Or do you even feel stuck right now and wonder if there's a better way? The saying doesn't go, two roads diverge in the yellow wood and I took the busy one. It was the one less traveled, but often missed when we take on and do too much. We've been trained, taught, and indoctrinated to sacrifice in order to have more. But more of what? And when are we going to stop sacrificing what we want now for the promise of a better future or some unknown date like retirement? Society continually works to define success for us and keep people on that hamster wheel through two very subtle yet very effective ideas that create dissonance. No matter how hard you work, no matter how much you get, there is scarcity whispering that, look, it's never enough, that someone else has more. If you Google the two ideas I'm talking about in this video, you're only going to find something positive. But these two little devils are far from bringing about enjoyment, contentment, or love. These two words or ideas, if you will, are responsible for dissatisfaction, stress, if I may be so bold, even disease. As I talk about what they are, you can start to make new choices and avoid this destruction. The question is, are you ready to opt out of the chaos, identify these faulty concepts, and embrace and live a better life? I'm going to have you join me on the road to don't. The road to don't, so you can learn from our experiences and discover a different way. All right, so look, value sometimes comes in different forms. I think it's pretty obvious when it comes with dollars, trophies, or even gratitude that's attached to it. But I've had multiple times in my life where value came from learning those hard-ass lessons, from doing the seemingly wrong and expensive things. I've said yes to projects and opportunities that had me say no to my wife, my health, my kids, and other better projects that came along the way that I no longer had capacity for. Look, that ends up taking time on the back end to repair harm. It also comes with personal pain. But pain and constraint are hard to see in the moment of yes. It's hard to say no. I don't like hurting anyone's feelings or missing out on fun or money. So again, it's hard to say no. Money and opportunity are seductive. They're exciting. As I look over my life, I romanticize these money-making, difference-making, or creative outlets. I even collapse them into my identity and my self-worth, being even more blinded to what matters the most. Saying yes too often, it created complexity at times. Inevitably, it added too much to my plate. Part of the reason business and money overtakes our lives is because of a very sneaky and destructive narrative of sacrifice being required for success. That's what I started with. It's the conundrum. Sacrifice, it's the paradox. Sacrifice means I'm giving up something I want now for a promise sometime in the future, robbing my ability to be present and even eliminating joy in the process. Sacrifice says to work so hard, take on so much that all other matters take a back seat and they're completely in jeopardy of being lost. And then these other matters that maybe matter most are the things that we miss out on because of sacrifice. How long and to what end do we have to sacrifice? And what about being able to enjoy life along the way? What about setting parameters, allow us some fun or even family time? What if that even means we have a little less money, but we can create more meaningful memories? Now look, if you're barely making ends meet, that might be a difficult thing to do. It's time to reinvent the game. We'll get there. But we can end up with less stress, more fulfillment, more energy, and less lust and fantasy for getting to one day, someday, and instead enjoy the process along the way. That is, if we can conquer scarcity and avoid sacrifice. When we suffer the future, right? Worry about what's going to happen down the road and get all this energy today towards something that hasn't even occurred. When we sacrifice the future, that's when we grind and hustle to get some faraway point, hoping that that windfall or that win someday will come for us, but then we miss out on life. Hell, I've been caught in this trap. I was even rewarded for it. Got the Inc. 500, number 19 on the Utah 100 growth list, the SBA Young Entrepreneur of the Year when I was younger, right? Did you see my gray hair? This fueled my desire for more. But this is the built-in construct and container of what I call the consumer condition. The consumer condition is a place of lack, suffering in that place of never enough, a place of more is better, the place of eventually. The consumer condition is the disease of the mind. It's the destructive container of society. The consumer condition leads us to believe misinformation like we have to get it while the getting's good. Have you ever heard that or said that? It puts our value in our net worth, our homes, our cars, and even our clothes. This is the hamster wheel and treadmill of life, built from the belief of the zero-sum win-lose, take-what-you-can game, rushing and running, but then having to deal with the issues it causes with those we love. Those issues that come up with loved ones when they feel disconnected or numb because of the coping mechanisms required from feelings of abandonment or lack of love from you. These are the constant companions that occupy and accompany the consumer condition. Hence, our world state of pain and disassociation, our world state of addiction and disease. The consumer condition has us believe that we're working for those we love, but without investing time in them. The consumer condition uses more and sacrifice as its minions, more and sacrifice as its ideals, having us believe what we're doing is in our best interest and will be rewarded in the future for our hard work with revenue, attention, awards, and accolades. Yet, as you might hear from Black Eyed Peas, where is the love? Where's the leisure? What about being present today? Sacrifice and more lead us to say yes, for the fear that we'll miss out on the greed that comes with an identity of societal success. More. It's a very external process of validation that never quite satisfies, never quite satiates. Sure, buying an amazing vehicle feels good for a while, but it wears off and then we're on to the next toy or trophy. Sacrifice is an illusion cloaked with justifications that are rarely true. I'll repeat and add some of those justifications. Hey, this is only for a short time. I have to work hard to get this off the ground, and then we'll have more time. I'm doing this for you, for our lifestyle. And the people you love don't get you in that lifestyle. Sacrifice is required to succeed. This is the only way. Chasing money overtakes our lifestyle today. Money's part of life. It's part of living. It's an important aspect if we want to exchange with one another and pay for bills and have a house or a car or whatever. Absolutely important. But when we lie to ourselves and say that it's sacrifice that gets us that money and tell others it's only temporary, we get stuck in the next distraction that's disguised as an opportunity that comes along and use sacrifice as the scapegoat once again. A yes to this may mean a no to yourself, to your health, to the ones you love, or harm your ability to be fully engaged in a business or project that could fully take off when it's not fragmented. So the questions to maybe ask would be, what's most important to you? What's your win? How do you know you're winning? And what's the cost of a yes? The cost of a yes. A question I don't know if I've ever really asked before. We usually understand the benefits or the payoff, but what about the cost? What energy will you have to give any project or opportunity? Is it aligned with your soul purpose, S-O-U-L? Soul purpose is your values, your abilities, your passions for the highest context of living. It's who you are when you're at your best, fully self-expressed. So is this part of your vision and how you truly want to live? Because that's kind of a big assumption. Having a vision. Vision's probably the rarest commodity on earth, yet the most precious. It's easier to get busy working than it is to take time to think, take time alone or sit in the void where you can remember what you were born to do. Vision. Like I understand the world's noisy and distracting, making it even more difficult to engage fully in who you are. I've been there. Not just once or twice, but in different circumstances and times where I was overcommitted, overextended, and exhausted, leaving my wife feeling alone. She even told stories in her head about going places and acting like she was single. Not because she was trying to, but just like, hey, I'm a single mom. Like, because where was I? I was working. It's painful, right? But sometimes we can see different value when it's illuminated with pain. Pain can be a gift, not one I really enjoy in the moment, but one I can appreciate when looking back. I mean, part of being alive on this earth is being in pain. Hell, I did the cold plunge today. Shivered for a long time afterwards. Pain. Experience and pain, they'll be two of the harshest, yet probably the most effective teachers. But the key is, learn early. Prolonging the pain is a byproduct of sacrifice. Let me say that again. Prolonging the pain, it's a byproduct of sacrifice. Sacrificing our well-being to avoid conflict. Sacrificing because we don't want to have a conversation that could be difficult or hurt someone's feelings. Sacrifice. When we're worried about others more than ourselves, we limit our prosperity. We push away abundance. We, again, sacrifice. Sacrifice. It's that time and toil and stress just so we can be liked. Maybe just to appear successful. To live out the world's agenda or definition of success. We sacrifice all that at the expense of their quality of life. Look, you're not going to get a trophy for time with your family, and probably not for taking care of your health. Yet the consumer condition is so powerful and seductive that people still chase net worth at the expense of quality of life. So look around this office that I'm in. I don't have any trophies displayed. I do have pictures of my kids, some drawings that they've done. I have gifts that they've made for me, some photographs of awesome memories even framed. Look, there's nothing wrong with displaying trophies, but what else could be a great compliment to a trophy? Displaying the memories of those you love, the things that remind you of your creativity, and displaying the people you love. How can you intentionally create more of the memories that matter? Well, it begins with a different game. The game where you choose the rules, where you determine what matters. So what game are you playing? Now, did you choose this game, or did the game choose you? Are you doing it for yourself, or to prove something to someone else? Is it a game created by society or by your intuition? Is it your inner voice or your sole purpose? Like, I tried to prove my success by buying a Bentley, but when I took it to my hometown, they're like, the hell's wrong with your Chrysler 300? They didn't care. Look, it comes down to what's most rewarding and fulfilling to you. Asking yourself what creates a win for you now and in the future. Is there something that you would want to be engaged in for as long as you can look forward to into the future? I want to go on trips with my family, do date nights, guide nights, retreats at my cabin, immersions with a few select clients. Write, walk, work out, and play. That means saying no if something would crowd these items out. It means having a calendar that reflects the life I want to live and the person I want to be. The key is, you can have it all as long as you don't try to do it all. I like that. You can have it all as long as you don't try to do it all. Having it all means you feel fulfilled. You do the things that matter to you. You enjoy your life and the process along the way. You can have health, the social life, live your purpose, and be economically independent. You don't have to sacrifice. In abundance, you get both. I didn't always believe I could have it all. For all my 20s, I thought I would do what no one else was willing to do in order to live a life like few can live in the future. A great mantra for sacrifice. I left so little room for my family. And by the way, when I was 29, that all got wiped out in the crisis of 2008 when the real estate market collapsed. So, there goes my 20s, sacrificed, learned some painful lessons. I get there's plenty of circumstances that require attention. When there's debt or falling behind on bills or not providing enough to cover the basics, look, that might require some more effort and extra time in the short term. But it's going to take even more time if you find a proper career, and then that'll help you dig out of the hole. Just take that time up front. It's either the hard work up front or the hard work for the rest of your life. Don't let debt or sacrifice become your way of life at the expense of recreation, relationships, and relaxation. I mean, fuck retirement. Forget about that one day, someday. It's a huge culprit of sacrifice. Now, if you're like my dad and you're a coal miner, retirement is definitely a good idea. But if you could retire from the work that you hate and find something that's value that you enjoy the majority of, that's a different game. We're out of this industrial age where people literally work themselves to death. Instead, I want you to refine your life and your schedule. Retire from that work you hate. I'm saying that again. This happens through intention and delegation. But don't retire from the value you create in this world. When we take on too much, retirement seems like an amazing solution. When we're exhausted from work, a permanent break sounds pretty damn appealing. When I've taken on too much, I didn't have the mental power capacity left over for anything. When I launched this program called the Financial Fast Track program back in December of 2006, there was a high demand that had been built up for my radio show and my curriculum for wealth events we would do, and I was hosting every month. I began to think about other ways to add value, and shortly after I created this thing called the Sole Purpose Fast Track. This included adding a company, a partnership, hiring employees, and doing retreats to outline the program. What is really required, what really needed to happen was a bunch of time that could have been invested in memories with my family, in my own personal health, in that actual Freedom Fast Track business that was thriving. See, the initial phase, though, was exciting and fun, but there came the work of building processes, training coaches, finalizing software, workbooks, videos, illustrations, and look, the list goes on. With limited bandwidth, this program wasn't nearly as successful as the Financial Freedom Fast Track. You think I would have learned? Took some time. Soon after launching the Sole Purpose Fast Track coaching program, I just started doing more real estate. I had no passion for this. Every loan that needed attention, every tenant that had an issue, property that required maintenance, or deal that needed to be decided on came at the expense of the Financial Fast Track and even the Sole Purpose Fast Track, then eventually my health, then eventually date night, and then time with my son. By the time I would make it home at night, I was asleep shortly after, sometimes on the floor playing with my son or on the couch because I couldn't even make it in the bedroom, or in my son's room as I fell asleep trying to tuck him in. My wife wanted time, attention, or address something. I was at work or asleep. Too much work, not enough life. This started to create tension in our relationship. We fought, often. It was the only way Carrie could really get my attention. Anytime she wanted to talk, I always said it wasn't a good time. Eventually, she just became pretty numb to our relationship. We had a pretty low point. I got pretty numb. There's no energy left to have a deep conversation with my wife or be present with my kids. My sister always loved to take pictures of me falling asleep on the couch at every family function. She created a video teasing me. Yeah, that's the cost of exhaustion. Not enough energy for the rewards or time with our loved ones. It took over a year and a lot of effort for my wife and me to get back to a decent place. There were daily conversations, fights, sleepless nights. That's the cost of ignoring what matters. The cost of too many yeses. Thankfully, Carrie was willing to do the work with me, to forgive my absence and mediocrity in our marriage. But for many people, they lose all that is gained financially to one of the most expensive things possible: divorce. A devastating cost of a yes to opportunity and a no to family. So what's the solution? Know your sole purpose. Establish your rules. Outline your objectives. Know your projects and bandwidth, saying no or not now to everything else. Easier said than done, I know. But these are the ingredients required to create a simplicity in your life, a simplicity that leads to presence, to abundance. Creating simplicity is one of the hardest things to do with all of the allure of the consumer condition. The busyness, the complexity, and all that takes over the consumer condition is that place of scarcity. It's like a disease of the mind where we look to take more than we give. It's subtle because it's kind of baked into our daily lives. Ads are everywhere. Social media posts, banners, and articles. There's product placement in TV series and movies. It's nearly everywhere we look. Buy more, have more, and you'll be happier. Plus, with the phone, we just carry this around with us all the time in our hand. A device designed for dopamine. A device to remind us of all that we want and didn't even know existed. To fulfill an unlimited want was something that was never powerful enough to satiate our desire. Stuff and things. We give up being present and sacrificing our precious moments for earning, doing, and more. The stuff and things we use as a way to display power, wealth, and significance. I know I've been there. As soon as we satisfy one, though, another grows. Something new comes along. Someone else has what we want, and the trap continues. The key is, can we break free from sacrifice and more? Can we opt out of the consumer condition? I believe our experience here on earth is filled with lessons. Those lessons continue throughout our lifetime. The lessons we don't learn or think we learned, but are rooted in scarcity, they lead to limitation and lasting pain. This isn't something money can solve or we can buy our way out of. It's to be earned and learned. But hell, what if we learn the wrong lessons? What if fear or loss or fear of missing out or just the consumer condition is running the show? What's your solution? What's my secret today? How can you protect what is most sacred, invest time with your family, having deeper conversations, and yet being very engaged in work? The simple answer? Create the space and keep it sacred. Don't let time ruin your life. Meaning, I'm no longer in a rush with too strict or short of deadlines. I add dates, workouts, and walks with my wife to the calendar. I don't skip or move those activities or meetings. If I'm too tired for my health or my family, it means I'm taking on too much. That is my sign to simplify. It's time to eliminate a project or change the timelines. What will I let go of in order to live life today? That is the road to don't. Taking on too much was a lesson in what I really wanted in life, by knowing what I didn't want. At first, it felt like wasted time. I was upset with myself. But then I recontextualized it. These experiences showed me what was important and the impact of my choices. Through experience, I just learned what not to do, what didn't belong. It gave me the insight and importance of defining my game instead of a world trapping me in this consumer condition. I started asking new questions, better questions that led to a better life. It was a process where I could enjoy things along the way. How could I create a life I didn't want to retire from or get too tired with? Was it about business success or family success, or is it even an either or? Of course not. There's room for both if you know your win. If you define the game. If you learn to say yes to quality of life instead of being trapped in the busyness of opportunity. Opportunity first is the mantra of the consumer condition. Opportunity is great if you create space and other aspects of your life. Review the simple marker of your energy. How do you feel? And where do you feel free? And where do you feel constrained? Account for time to yourself on a daily basis and time that is reserved for the sake of fun, family, or fitness. This is the key. Create space. I guess, or you could learn the hard way by doing too much. Through experience, we can learn what not to do and what to say no to, and ultimately create the game we want to play with our rules, with our parameters, with our vision. I saw firsthand the cost of those yeses. It takes abundance to say no. To leave space for yourself, your hobbies, your family, and simply having fun. Opportunity comes with money, but for me, sometimes money was misleading. Look, money is a terrible solo artist on the path to happiness. It's a great companion, though. It's a companion to value creation. Money is a companion as one marker of determining if something is worth doing or not doing, but not strong enough to carry our lives by itself. In order to know what to do or not to do, it requires the right questions, time to ourselves, and a vision that is clear enough that if anything's not aligned, we know to say no. So what do I really want? Fun, laughter, creation, connection. When we're laughing, we're connected, not disappointed in the past or worried about the future. We're not wondering whether AI is going to take over and chop off our dicks, right? We could just be present. This year I've chosen to do less in the business without having less of an impact, though. That's right, do less, but not lower the impact. It's about being selective, focused, and always finding time for fun. It's about starting my day with some meditation and writing and listening to talks from my spiritual mentors. It's about ending my day with time with my family. Maybe hit the hot tub or once a week do date night. In 2022, there were more opportunities coming my way than I could handle. Created unrest and was crowding out my joy. I felt no ability to have leisure. I didn't have time to take a walk with my wife or do guys' night with my sons or focus on my quality of life, so I just kept saying too many yeses in 2022. So this year, I've chosen to say no. Politely. I use the phrase, hey, I have a few sole purpose projects that I'm devoting my time to right now. If that changes, I'll let you know. Or, thanks for thinking of me. My schedule's full, but it means so much that you thought of me. What I'm really saying is, I'm committed to my purpose, my family, my health, and my quality of life. And if it isn't a yes to them, then it's a no. I'll potentially lose money, but gain life. I'll lower stress and focus on the things that make me feel like an artist, writing, performing, practicing, recording, or connecting. Today, did my one-man show, record a podcast as a guest, did these videos, had time to meet with my coach, do a workout, did the sauna, it was a packed day with the things that mattered. It was a mix of business and pleasure. And sometimes there's a thin line between that because I really enjoy what I'm doing in business. So what makes you lose track of time? Some of the best memories of my life, I'll never get any recognition or money, but I can relive and enjoy the memory. Things like family parties with my family where we ate too much and laughed even more. Or family talent shows at my grandma and grandpa's house where my cousins put on skits and I told jokes. Or our Christmas roast where everyone draws a name and then we get to make fun of that person. Or our New Year's traditions of dancing and karaoke. Now it's at our cabin every year. Saying no isn't always easy, but too many yeses lead to breakdown and limit joy and fun. Looking over my life is the times I took on too much that crowd out my favorite things in life. So, say yes to your quality of life. Sure, handle your business. Do what it takes to take care of yourself and provide. But always leave time to enjoy the best life has to offer. Often doing less will help you accomplish more. Now, if you want some tools and resources with your finances, then what I recommend is that you go to garrettgunderson.com/freedom. This is a great course to help you get your financial house in order, to create more financial independence so that you have that freedom to do what you want to do on a daily basis. The course, there's no charge. You give your information, and over time, every now and again, Wealth Factory will hit you up with some ideas that maybe you want to take advantage of and you can buy. If not, you've got value in your life, you've got a better path, and that you can start to go down that road to know so you can live your very best life. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And if you're enjoying these videos, well, there's good news. More where that came from, so go ahead and click through and watch the next video now.